I know a lot of people really wanted to see this figure come to life, and remember, everyone who was on Patreon got to see it sooner, and they got to see the work in progress and preview images. So if you want to join them, all you gotta do is donate even the smallest amount to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Alright. Hyper Shadow 92. It's on. In the time since I made that little intro video, and while I was working on the figure, Tomy announced that for their 2018 Sonic figure line, they'd actually be releasing an official figure of Infinite, which is pretty cool, along with some of the other stuff that they announced. And that led some of my fans to question whether I would continue with the project at all. Because, as I've said before, I don't like to make figures that are going to get official releases because, you know, I usually can't compare my own work to that of a professional company which has a whole bunch of resources backing it up. But in this case, yeah, I think I can totally outdo Tomy and make a better Infinite figure than they could. So, why don't we give that a shot, huh? I know in that initial work-in-progress preview shot, it showed a picture of Shadow, implying that he's going to be the primary source to be turned into Infinite. But the recipe actually looks more like this. That's quite a hodgepodge of figures, isn't it? So there's a Freerider Sonic shoe set, and also the shins are from a Freerider Sonic. Yeah, the Knuckles figure, the Shadow figure that I was using was damaged. It was missing a shin. So what I did was I knocked the pins out of the knees and grafted the shins of the Freerider Sonic figure onto the thighs of the Shadow figure, creating this kind of leg dealie that is half Sonic and half Shadow. It would have the benefit of being able to attach to the shoes a lot more naturally and, you know, give me symmetrical legs. I also used the Sonic the Werehog's head, because a Jackal's head is shaped kind of like a wolf's head, and hands from a Tails, so that I would have the gesturing hands, and the upper torso is Sonic's, because the Werehog head wouldn't go onto Shadow's skinny little neck peg, so I needed Sonic's thicker neck peg for the head to attach. So now that you've seen the recipe, let's actually start to put the figure together for real. Although never shown in the game, Infinite actually does have a proper face. He's an unnamed Jackal Mercenary from the episode of Shadow and also the preview comics. So the Sonic Forces preview comics was the primary source of where I got his face. So he's a jackal with you know, hair that just kind of comes out behind him. I made the hair and his ears out of craft foam for the purpose of maintaining a sharp point, not sticking to the mask I would make later, and you know, not weighing the head down or risk snapping them off because they are very long and skinny. With a proper paint job, he has heterochroma. One eye is blue and the other yellow, and he also has a scar over one eye. Maybe that implies that both of his eyes were yellow at one point, and then whatever gave him that scar also messed up his right eye so that when it healed it had a blue iris. I don't know. But, you know, this guy has an interesting backstory besides not having a proper name. Yeah, they never actually refer to Infinite by his proper name. It's like he gave up his former identity when he became the Phantom Ruby-powered abomination that we all know and love. But, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's continue on making the rest of his parts. The rest of the body modifications were pretty typical. He has these big old Velcro straps on the backs of his hands. And he has a very simple yet elegant color scheme of all black with some silver highlights. The Freerider shoes have good bulk to them, but I had to make the toes pointy. Funnily enough, the tongue of the shoe actually works, and I just, again, the big Velcro strap over the top. Ah, Velcro, the superior shoe fastening technology. And of course he has a big old tail. It's a giant jackal tail. This has the advantage of tripoding him, so it's always good to have a character you can tripod just in case the figure is a little bit off balance. And in addition to painting him, I added the Phantom Ruby to his chest. That part's not removable, unfortunately, so he's always going to have the Phantom Ruby on there. And he has that little crest of hair on the back of his neck, which I made out of craft foam so that it wouldn't clip into anything and, chip off. So let's take one quick last look at the Phantom Ruby up close so you can see a little purple stripe I painted on. It's almost impossible to see from a distance. And here is the Unnamed Jackal Mercenary, fully painted up. Yes, so he has a perfect sense of identity in this and looks like a completed figure. Yeah, this is a fully realized character in its own right. I mean, it's an interesting design just the way it is. And I really respect that. Like, the people that made the preview comics didn't need to make this design interesting since, we never see his face, but, he has a pretty striking look just like this. Of course, that's not what you're here to see, so let's make that iconic mask. This is what made me feel like I could outdo Hyper Shadow 92 and even Tomy. The mask is a removable accessory on mine. So how I pulled that off was, we gotta go back to before I painted the face. I glommed on a bunch of Super Sculpey onto the face, in a vague shape of the mask. This is all for the purpose of, because this doesn't harden unless you bake it, and it's soft enough that I can mold it around, but firm enough that it won't accidentally squish while I'm trying to mold on top of it. So with this stuff covering the face, I then molded the mask on top. Maybe this makes it a little bit bulkier than it has to be, but hey, action figure scaling. That means the bigger the action figure you make using this technique, the less of a bulking effect it'll have, which is pretty cool. So, the mask, it basically is a big solid piece that covers his face and ears, but has an opening for his left eye. Maybe this implies that Infinite's blind in his right eye and always has been? Maybe that's why it's blue? So... from the inside, you can see that it's designed to kind of cradle around his ears, and this thing snaps pretty effectively into place, but I'm getting ahead of myself. It needed a proper paint job. It's all silver with the left ear is white with black circles, and the right ear is black with white circles. You have the black lightning bolt shape on the right side, and the left side has, the eyeliner. There's really nothing better can call it an eyeliner. And I used a piece of translucent red plastic to put it over the eye hole. Unfortunately, you need a really bright light source to see his eye underneath, but it's not like I would be able to rig the glowing yellow eye without rigging up an LED, and I just can't do that in a figure this size. So look around you and tell me what you really see. This is a completed Infinite figure, and that's the difference with you and me. Alright, I'm gonna stop trying to sing the song. Yeah, so that's what he looks like with the mask on. Maybe from an above angle it looks kind of weird, but I think you're supposed to look at it from below, because he's always floating above you, But yeah, like, look at that. That's just cool. I mean, this is a cool character design, and that mask really helps to sell the look. So, yeah. Alright, so... there we go. It's in Tomy's court now. I know their figure is probably only going to have 7 points of articulation, like everything from their Sonic Boom line, so I'm pretty confident that, at least in terms of posability, I totally had them smashed. Plus, mine is the only one with a removable mask, so I can be the only one to boast having the actual Infinite face. Oh man, if you could see my head right now, it doesn't even fit in my room anymore. Alright, so I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, all the people who spam my comments requesting me to make this figure had absolutely no impact on its actually coming into existence. See you next time!